And let's move on to question number 3. All right, sorry guys, it's getting warm, and I wasn't planning on going on this long, to be honest with you today, because yeah, I'm feeling pretty tired. But we've got a couple more questions that I want to address. So let's move on. Question number 3 here comes in from Barry. Barry says, I keep seeing conflicting information in social media property groups about what's happening in the market and what's likely to happen in the future. Some are saying the market is grinding to a halt and prices will fall off a cliff. And others are saying the market is, and others are talking the market up, saying the good times are going to continue for a long time yet. I don't know what to do or how best to advise my clients who are thinking about selling at the moment. I feel like I will be misleading them if I don't share an element of caution, but the competition are acting like nothing's changed despite their sales slowing right down. All right. Okay, Barry. Well, thanks for the question. Pretty comprehensive there. And what you've highlighted again is something that I'm seeing as well in a lot of the different social media groups that I'm in contact with across the different platforms. And you're right, there is a lot of different opinions. There is a lot of gurus out there who are talking the market up and saying how it's just a blip, don't worry, things will be right back to where they were beforehand and all the rest of it. And look, I'll be honest, there's people far smarter than me and far smarter than these gurus who have been around for an awful long time, who have seen these wider economic patterns unfold over the course of many years, if not decades. And look, I'm not one to buy into media hype, and I'm not one to look at the headline news and all the rest of it. But what I do know is that people like, for example, Dan Pena, who's somebody that I follow and quite like, although I do use extreme caution, sort of suggesting that you go and check out his stuff unless you like the F word in every sentence, shall we put it like that. He's a very forthright talker, a huge amount of respect for Dan and everything that he does, but he's very, very blunt. Okay, so if you want to go and check his stuff out, please do, but don't say I didn't warn you. Now, to answer the question, he's very well connected with a lot of people who are very experienced business people. He's trained and mentored tons of them across the world. He's also connected into the wider economic picture, the wider economic news, and he's also got scores of experience working with people who have traded the stock market and all the rest of it. And you have to open your eyes to the fact that there are big firms like, for example, Twitter, like, for example, Facebook, like, for example, Amazon, who are already laying off thousands of staff. Now, that tells you something, doesn't it? Okay, we've seen big high street name firms go to the wall. Okay, now the media might be painting over the cracks, if you like, of what's going on, but you have to understand that if these things are happening already, these big companies are monitoring their financial status of the business, the patterns that are happening, the monthly fluctuations, the annual fluctuations in their trading patterns. And if they're noticing a slowdown, then they want to be ahead of that curve, and they will cut deep, which means that they will get rid of the staff early, okay, so that they've got a better chance of riding out any recession. Now, if you're already seeing your income drying up, which a lot of agents are, because they are seeing their sales slow down, and they know that their pipeline income is the best part of 3 to 4 months away from landing in their bank account, already that there's a lull. Okay, now we all want to be optimists, right? We all want to hope that there's going to be a bounce back and things are going to turn around really, really quickly, but it's not always the case. And we have to be realistic and say, well, if these guys are seeing this, and the bigger name players that we talked about, the stock market traders, are already have one foot out of the door, and they are predicting a pretty bad event, whatever that might be, stock market crash, which will lead to a real estate crash, which might lead to another 2007, 2008, then we have to be sensible and face the reality of that. And if that is the case, then we have to be honest with our clients, right? We have to say, look, the market is what it is. The market is falling. The market is going south, but we're going to do our very best for you. And that will require a change in how you continue to market and sell properties, because we've had a very good market for a lot of years. A lot of agents, I think, have probably forgotten how to go back to the traditional roots of grassroots selling property. And that, I think, is going to become more important. Now, I can't remember where I saw this, Barry, so forgive me, but somebody was talking about this, about how human beings are all interconnected, and how we're not actually that far removed from nature. And if you look at nature, when they know that things like an earthquake is coming, or things like a tsunami were happening, and I think this actually happened when that big tsunami hit, was it Japan, and they monitored the wildlife, and the wildlife actually started moving away from that area some time before the event actually happened. Now, that's significant if you start thinking about it, that the wildlife knew they were in tune with something in nature that gave them advance warning that disaster was about to strike. And if you tune into your own gut feeling, because humans are connected to the same extent, even though we try to override it with our mental thought process, if you tune into it, you might also get a feeling that something isn't quite right and that something big may be about to happen. That's the feeling I get. I've been proven wrong before. I might be wrong this time, but I'm looking at the wider picture and I'm listening to people that are smarter than me. And that's the only way that I think we can guide us, because we all want to be fortune tellers, and hindsight is 2020. We can all look back on things and go, oh, it was obvious that was going to happen. But to be fair to people like Charlie Lamdin, who's been sharing on social media some graphs by his good friend, who's a bit more tuned into the economic side of things, the data that they're mapping out and putting into social media right now are suggesting that we're in exactly the same place as we were just going into the 2007, 2008 recession, in terms of housing affordability, and inflation having an impact on the housing market. And I do believe that things are overvalued massively. That's just my personal opinion. I don't know realistically how people are affording to pay the prices that they are and getting the finance that they need to support the purchase of some of these properties. I just don't know how that's happening, but it is happening. Housing affordability, I think, is very low in terms of, it's difficult for people to afford to buy houses, and they're going to start to see their payments increasing now every single month because base rate's going up. So, you have to look at that wider economic picture. I do think things are going to change, and you need to be ahead of the game here, Barry, with what you're doing. And, that comes down to giving your clients honest advice, because the difference being, if your competition are telling your client that everything's fine, there's nothing wrong with the market, we'll sell it overnight like we've been doing for the last 6 months, let them take the instructions, because the chances are they'll burn 3 to 6 months worth of marketing on that property, not sell it. And that's when you step in and say, well, we felt the market was different, we're prepared to do a good job for you, but this is how we're going to approach it. Okay, so that's how I'd approach that one, Barry. Hope that helps. Hope that gives you some insight. And yeah, just tune into your gut feel, see what you think, because it could well be that an upset in the economy is on the horizon, and it may not be that far away. All right. So thanks for the question, Barry. And I think, to be honest with you, that brings us to the end of what has turned out to be a very long webinar. And I apologize that things have gone on a little bit, but I've really enjoyed this one this week. And it's been the end of, as I say, quite a trying couple of days for us personally. So it's great to be able to get on here and sort of share some stuff with you that I'm really excited about, which is all the property stuff. Hopefully we're giving you a ton of value. I'm going to encourage you to share these webinars, please, with your friends and family. Please help us get the word out on social media. There's a lot of people that are struggling right now with the uncertainty in the marketplace, with the trying to buy and sell, and they're hitting roadblocks. They don't know who to turn to for answers to their questions. I'm not saying we have all the answers to all the questions, but I will say we've probably got 80% of the answers, which I think is good enough, and we can get other specialists in to answer the rest. So please, I'm going to encourage you, if you've got value from anything that we've said here today, please share this with your friends and family. Please help us get the word out on social media. We're really excited to be able to offer this value to people. And I want to be able to bring more people on the journey with us to really transform and revolutionize the housing market. So any questions that you've got for us, get your friends and family to send them in. You can send them in as well. Happy to help at WiggyWam.co.uk. That's happy to help at WiggyWam.co.uk. You can go to our website, again, which is WiggyWam.co.uk, or you can find us on Twitter, which is WiggyWam_UK. And we'd just be delighted to hear from you with any questions, comments, feedback that you might have. And look forward to welcoming you on a webinar very, very soon in the future. All right. Thanks for joining me, guys. It's been an absolute pleasure, and I'll look forward to seeing you all again next week. All right, you take care. Bye bye.